As a producer, it's not about me. It's about the artist. It's about their message and what they're trying to get across. And my job as a producer, should I choose to accept that job, is to bring the best out of them.
Richard Fortin Presents. Everybody, welcome to Sweet 16 Studio. This is Richard Fortin Presents number 15. And today I am really happy to have somebody I would consider a friend. His name is Shawn Sasyniuk. He is a music producer. He's a talented musician and drummer. But without any more of my preamble here, I think I just introduced you to Shawn himself. Here he is. Shawn, thanks for coming by and chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me, Rich. And yes, you can definitely consider me a friend.
Yeah.
For all the years we've known each other.
Well, I wasn't going to start with this, but I have to say that Shawn, you in my life have had a bigger impact than you probably realize, because on a really important day in my life, you gave me the best hug I think I've ever had. And that was at my brother's funeral. I'll never forget it, because I remember after the moment happened, I thought, damn, that was the best man hug I've ever received. So
I am known for my hugs. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You are not the first to comment on the power of my hug, yeah.
Yeah, so that just tells the audience how far back we go, because that was now 20 years ago. And at that time, I had known you for years because the first Café Chantant summer program I ever did, you were the leader, the coordinator of the program.
Yeah.
And and I learned a lot, and it was an amazing experience with some people that you still end up working with and are doing things with. So it's funny how time flies, but man, you know, these relationships are probably, you know, the most important to me. Anyway.
Well, we both ended up in different parts. You went south, I went east, and then we end up back here.
Yeah. So all that to say, we've known each other a little while, and I want to bring attention, the little bit of attention I'm getting here through my show, I want to bring some to Crosspatch Studio and what you're doing here as a music producer. Because I really do think you're when I ask people like, hey, what's going on in town? What Shawn is doing is actually unique, and I think a lot of people should know what you're doing. More people should know about what you're doing, in my opinion, at your studio as a producer.
What am I doing that's unique? That's the part I'm curious about.
The engineering, because I think you've been working with francophone artists mostly. Have you mostly been working with francophone artists?
Most of the stuff has. I mean, I did start my my studio and stuff out when I was still living in Montreal, because I was out there for the better part of 12, 13 years. So that's where I kind of got into the studio thing, and then relocated everything back here about 11 years ago. And
I didn't realize you were did you say 15 years?
In Montreal? Between 12 and 13. I kind of lose track a little bit. Yeah.
That's a good run.
It was a good run, and it was long enough.
And time to come home.
Exactly.
And do your own thing here.
Yeah.
And that's when we reconnected, and that's what you were doing with Crosspatch Studio.
Exactly.
So what has been happening at the studio? What have you been doing?
Well, it's been an interesting, almost 2 years there now, with all of the things no longer going on. Yeah. But I'm fortunate enough to work with some clients who are very understanding, and we're still able to, I was still able to keep fairly busy with the studio, even though all of my live work, like everybody else who plays, disappeared by March of 2020, your entire year was gone. Yeah. And then things are slowly starting to come back, now-ish. I don't know when.
Slowly and awkwardly.
Yeah, kind of, where you're like, are you available on this date? Yes, I am. But I know you could cancel that at any moment, and that's okay, because that's where we live right now. But so I was able to turn a little bit more attention to some projects that have been kind of on the back burner for a little while, and kind of get ahead for the first time, because I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of repeat customers. So it's, you can't please everybody, but I've been really, really quite fortunate that the people who've chosen to work with me have more often than not chosen to work with me again, which is great. So, and that's allowed me a certain amount of busyness, I guess, to what I do. Where before, when I was still in Montreal, my main income was my live work or my session work or studio drumming for somebody else in another studio or in another context. And then the studio was something I got into just because I really enjoyed that side of it. And then to after once moving back here about 11 years ago now, to be able to sort of rebuild, redesign, reimagine my studio, and then it became a more important part of my income. And then for the last, 16 months or so or whatever, it's become the major source of my income. And fortunate enough to have people who again had some work, had some stuff to do, and were able to do from a distance as well.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of collaborative videos and stuff like that with people sort of all over. Recorded an entire album with a friend of mine from Victoria, where she was singing and playing guitar, recording her stuff in out west, and then would ship it to me and then myself, and then I would add some drums to it, and then there were various bass players on the project, some out there, some in town here, and then a lot of the other guitars and some other things got done out in Moncton. So did an entire record that nobody even met. So to be able to kind of have that flexibility with what I'm doing allowed me to get through this whole, part of the pandemic shutdown stuff, as far as in the arts industry, where we're the first ones to be shut down and probably the last ones to be opened up again.
Yeah, and to survive in that industry, it seems like you've really diversified. Like your skill set, when I'm watching you from the outside, you really are doing different things.
Well, you have to.
You have to.
You have to, yeah. And it's, not to say that...
Because I knew you as a drummer. Like growing up, when you were in high school and I was watching you, or I was in high school, you were probably just about leaving. You were the drummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're doing so much more than that, obviously.
After trying to make my living solely as a drummer, realizing that it's, even back then in the mid-90s, kind of when I got started, really, you sort of realized very quickly that the signing on with one band or one artist and just working with them, and then you could make a living and everything was good. Well, that was already starting to kind of fizzle out if it hadn't already done that. So that's where I got into the more freelance, working with different people, and then the studio thing came along, and that kept me busy there. And through the studio stuff, it allowed me to rediscover the guitar, which I had played a little bit when I was younger, but then kind of sort of wandered off into the drumming world. And if I can't hit it, I don't want to play it, which is oddly enough become my approach to guitar as well. So, and then once moving back here, in a smaller community versus Montreal, where there are plenty of live venues for bands to play and drummers can actually work. Well, here in town, there aren't all that many venues that will still have a full-on, 4 or 5 piece band either for spatial reasons or for budgetary reasons. It doesn't happen. So having to kind of, okay, well, I'll take a swing at the guitar thing. And I had always sang in the bands and stuff that I was in, and I'm like, I can front some stuff if I have to.
And you're a songwriter too, Shawn. I've seen you work in the studio, and you're You're not just giving.
Well, that's part of the producing element. Yeah, exactly. So, and I do co-write stuff as well, and I have written. I do have one album to my name too, that I just kind of...
I was hoping we'd go there.
Well, I went, there it is, I went there.
Awesome.
But there's no, I've never really had any aspirations of being a solo artist or anything like that. I had these songs that I had written, and it was kind of, it came along at a time where I was exploring different ways of miking and recording, and rather than try stuff out on my clients, I decided, okay, well, there's all these weird things I want to try with different mic placements and different whatever. So I tried them all out. I used my songs as an excuse to learn more about engineering and mixing and recording. And then some of these things worked out great, and some of them not so much. But afterwards, looking for a certain sound or a certain way to do something, I would have these other tools in my toolbox that I was able to draw upon, because I had, guinea pigged myself into the project, and then
Yeah.
at that point, then I'm like, okay, well, I still should finish this record
Yeah.
and put it out, and so I did.
so
But
you
that
did.
was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I haven't written a song on my own since, but I've been working with so many people
Yeah.
and collaborating and stuff that my creative juices still flow that way.
Yep. Yep. So what is it about music that turns you on so much? What is it that we all love? I mean, I'm trying to get at a bigger idea here, but what is the moment where you go in your life, like, I love this to the point where I'm going to make it my life, my career, my, what I want to pursue? Was it being on stage for a time? Is it when you hear the final product? Because it really is work to build a song. It really is not like lights, camera, action, flashing, glamorous stuff. It's building a house. You explained this to me one time when we were in your studio, that it's like a labor. You start with the foundation and then you build the wall. It's a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
What is it that you love about music?
Well, just like every art form is work. And you never see all of the stuff that goes on before you're ready to even kind of do that sort of thing. But for me, it comes back to a saying, well, not a saying, but something that Yves Doyon actually said 1,000 years ago to me when we were touring with bref. And I was watching him in an interview at one point, and someone had asked him that exact question. What is it about music that kind of gets you into the thing? And his answer, which I think resonates probably with every musician and every artist out there, regardless of the discipline that you're practicing. It's not, you don't choose to do music. Music kind of chooses you. And that mixed with the advice that I got from my parents and my father, who was also a touring musician for a long time, they said, keep doing it until it's no longer fun. If it's no longer fun, maybe it's time to move on. So there's that, or if the phone stops ringing and you're no longer current or in demand, or nobody thinks you have anything to offer, well, you can still work on your own stuff. That's fine. But so it's that, music kind of chooses you, and for me, it's still fun. Even though every musician on the planet, we all lost our jobs at the same time. I didn't see that coming. Nobody did.
Yeah.
So, who's left standing after it? Well, I'm still standing. I'm still doing okay. Yes, I had to find other sources of income, to be able to make ends meet and to kind of get through this like everybody. Thankfully, there were programs out there to help us, and thankfully there are some, local businesses who, tossed some work my way, which was wonderful, and I could never thank them enough. But,
So as a producer, we're talking to young people here who want to come and work with somebody like yourself because they know that when they come and join forces, they're going to get a professionalism that's going to take them to the next level. What kind of singer-songwriter, or maybe it's not a singer-songwriter, maybe what kind of artist do you like working with? What are the traits that you look at when you see somebody walking in and they're sussing you out and you're learning about who they are and what they want? What kind of person walks out of that studio and you think this is probably going to work?
I've got two different approaches to how I look at that. If I'm just being a technical person, so I'm just the engineer, I'm the studio engineer, there's an artist or a band or something that wants to record some stuff, and they know what they want to do, and they're not looking for a producer. They're just looking for somebody to push buttons, record it, mix it or not, prep the files for somebody else to mix, whatever the case may be. That anybody can call me up and say, hey, I'd like to book some studio time. And I'm like, sure, absolutely, no problem. I will try and make it the most enjoyable experience that you can. I will do everything to make it, efficient, and so you don't feel like you have to look at the clock because you're worried about what things are costing. So that approach is just the more up and coming or independent people that I can work with, the better I feel about it, because it's, geez, I wish I would have had the opportunity to record more when I was younger and starting up, but there won't, that whole home studio revolution and the affordability of the gear and the portability of the gear didn't really exist when I had started playing with my terrible bands in high school. So, but from a producer standpoint, I have a different approach not than most, but I have a slightly different approach. I really need to meet with the people beforehand. Whoever the artist is or artists are, need to kind of hear what they like to do. I like to know a little bit about them, because I will take, as an engineer or as a drummer, I'll take on any project. I'm really not that, I'm not that, provided it's something that I can do. You know,
Yeah.
if someone calls me and we need you to play in a death metal prog band, I'm like, I am not your guy. But, and from a producer standpoint, I have that approach as well, too.
But the smoothest drum beat you've ever heard.
If you need something, yeah.
If you need it smooth.
If you need something smooth,
If you need,
I'm that guy. No, but if somebody says, I'd like you to produce my record, I want to sit down and talk to them
Yeah.
and see what it is. And I've turned away some people, not because I don't think they're any good, but I don't think that I'm the right guy for the job, where I can look at what they're doing, I'm like, well, a lot of times some of these people are, well, you know exactly what you want already. You don't necessarily need a producer. You know, maybe I can co-produce with you, or, you know, you just do what you do and I'll offer the occasional suggestion.
Yeah.
But some people I'm like, this is not my wheelhouse and I don't know what I can bring to your project. So, you know, I'm not afraid to turn down work because I don't think that I'm the right fit for them. Because it's not about, as a producer, it's not about me. It's about the artist. It's about their message and what they're trying to get across. And my job as a producer, should I choose to accept that job, is to bring the best out of them and to create a snapshot of where they are at this moment in time, not 5 years ago or 5 years from now. This is what this artist is, absolutely 100% honestly right now. This is what they are. And they need to be able to walk away from having worked with me going, that was an excellent snapshot of where I'm at right now. You know, and I need them to feel good about it. I need them to be proud of what they've done, and I need to be proud of it as well.
Nah, that's amazing. You're giving me goosebumps because I know what you're saying is true because I've known you for years. And as another little story, you know, our family did, in the name of my brother, this 2 events, Youth Fest we called them, where I had this idea and a group of young people had an idea that we'd rent the Capitol Center and people would come in and we'd get schools involved and there'd be a show and we could bring attention to this cause, the HIV and AIDS cause. And of course I have great ideas but don't know how to do anything. And so at the time I spoke to you about that idea and you ended up bringing in amazing talent, totally helping everything for that performance be epic in my eyes. And when I look at the pictures, I still can't believe we pulled it off the way you pulled it off. But it really happened because of the generosity and the character you had with, and the character you had because of the relationship you had with other artists, because everybody was doing a favor. And we all know that artists and musicians often get, you know, these exposure bucks, like I'll give you exposure, or can you do me a favor, and then, you know.
Yeah, but that kind of event's not. It's
that
not
wasn't.
about
That wasn't. It wasn't the same thing.
No.
But what it revealed to me when you got involved, and then the talent that showed up. Geneviève Toupin.
Geneviève Toupin.
Geneviève Toupin.
We had Antoine Graton, Jason Lang, Chris Colepaugh, all kinds of monstrous
from
players.
everywhere in Canada.
Yep.
And they showed up because Shawn asked them to show up, and Shawn doesn't do things like that if it's not the right cause. And to me, that was like, as an artist, that must have been a huge compliment.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when I look in, and it becomes. I work with a lot of really generous, kind-hearted people who are more than happy to get involved in something, because as an artist, you often don't have the financial capability to throw some money at a cause, but you can give of your time. So, and the beauty of that is that, you know, all of these people that I call, like, I didn't even have time to finish my spiel, and they're like, yeah, when is it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But that's because you've probably done, you're in that same giving energy. And so really what I was saying, the point I'm trying to make is thank you. No, but it's true. But thank you for cutting me off, and thanks for doing what you are doing, because I think that everybody I know who's worked with you does say good things about it, and they're treated professionally. Like, it's not you're also very real and honest. I think that's not something you addressed, but you did address it, because you said that you've had to not take jobs that you knew weren't the right fit. But
yes,
that's what's important at the end of the day. You know, I think for an artist to have integrity. And
I'd like to think so.
And to me, you are the epitome of that. And so I just want to compliment you. I hope that you've enjoyed coming in and chatting a little bit. I'm really happy you did, because I think more people should be like hiring you to be their producer because I think it could really help them.
I'm
really
easy to find. Well, kind of.
How are you? How do we find you?
If you can spell my name, you can find me.
Sasyniuk.
Yeah, the easy. You can send me. You can call Rich. He'll give you my number.
Yep.
You can. Yeah, you can look up Crosspatch Studios.
Crosspatch Studios.
Yeah, .com. The website is there. It's constantly under construction. There's a ShawnSasyniuk.com as well, and there's a way to reach me.
Awesome.
You can send an email to me directly through there.
We're going to get Darren to put those things all in the video to make sure at the beginning and at the end so we can make sure people can find you because, well, we got to keep doing this for, I figure, another 40 years.
At least.
At least, Darren. He said at least. I got it on record. It's recorded.
Well, I don't know what else to do with my life, so this is it, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for doing what you're doing. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your story, a little bit of it, and we'll see where it goes.
Just imagine the hug I would give you if I could.
I know, not without the mask. Man.
No,
not
man.
yet.
No.
Okay, everybody, thanks for checking it out. Please subscribe to the channel. Please go find Shawn and his projects. You guys are going to have all the tags below. And thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you soon.
And hit that notification bell.
Yeah. Bing.